Hello, everybody. Um, so we actually just tried to go live now with Christine Hardy, who is online, because we had a video call just before this and chatted now as well. But for some of the strange reason, we just could not seem to get the notification to pop up on her end. So I'm going to try that again now. And see if that comes through. Let's see. Oops. We do apologize for this. It's something that we hope the ladies and gentlemen at Facebook look into at some point in time as to why this keeps happening. So I'm just adjusting my camera angles as well. It's not a bit too. Oops. Somebody is joining. Who's that? There's Christine. Okay. Thank you so much, Christine. I'm guessing you did not receive an invite, so let me try and send that again. Let's go here and there and send request. Now that should definitely be coming up on your screen. Fingers crossed. Yay!
Yeah, at last.
At last. How are you doing?
Absolutely great, thank you.
Glad to hear it. Well, first of all, thank you so much for agreeing to do this interview with us. It's really greatly appreciated. I'm so excited to actually speak to you today because, well, when I was trying to do the live earlier and kind of just going over a little bit of your bio, and I didn't get to do it now this time, I was saying that a lot of what you work with is so interesting to me because it resonates with a lot of the journey that I went through as well. And, just helping people to align. But I'm not here to tell your story. That is for you. So before we get into exactly what you do, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself?
In a short version. The good, the bad, and the ugly.
Yes.
Okay, well, I'm assuming you don't want to know about my personality and my hobbies and my my personality traits, but maybe I'll throw in a little bit of that as well because I think that all leads to the kind of work that we do. So a little bit about myself, I suppose. By nature, I'm not really. I wasn't brought up to be a very confident person, so I spend a lot of time alone. In nature, and I knew and kind of felt that I was different. But I think going forward, I really was very keen on my personal development. So I did a lot of things to build up on my confidence, and anything that you're wanting to improve, you have to work at it. And sometimes it's quite painful doing that work, but that's what has got me to where I am today. And I can say now that I can stand in front of any group of people and talk, and I am very passionate about what I do as an energy healer. So my own path of self-discovery and personal advancement maybe prepped me for what God had in the larger picture, which I had no idea of because I didn't plan on being here. I've been a hairdresser. Well, I was a hairdresser for 30 years. So I was working in the crown chakra without even realizing it. And then then I knew I was supposed to be doing something different, something that I'd be even more passionate about than I was with my hairdressing work. And I suppose I've reached that stage of personal development that it was time for the doors to open. And without batting an eyelid, I moved into a whole career change 17, 18 years ago. in 2003, in fact, I qualified as a life alignment practitioner. So that's where I'm at now, 17 years down the line, and still
Wow.
very bowled over by it all.
I can imagine. I mean, I'm fairly new into my career shift, and I'm still constantly just amazed by how much it gives back to a person. Um, but I can imagine that feeling of awe just doesn't go away, because you're getting new gifts every single day from clients and people around you going, oh, thank you so much for that bit of insights, etc. So yeah, I I hear you. Um, my one question that I wanted to ask you is, in terms of that shift. I mean, you mentioned that growing up you weren't really raised to be super confident, and you had something completely different in mind in terms of what you're going to be doing with the rest of your life. Was there sort of a defining moment where you just knew that this was it, and you had to make this shift or this change, or was it more something that just kind of gradually took hold before you even realized it?
Stefan, it was a journey, let's put it that way. So I think because I consumed every single book that I could on personal development, and then obviously personal development's changed over the years. It's not that rah-rah, quick motivational thing anymore like
Yes.
companies were doing years ago. It's shifted and changed to much deeper work. In the old days, it was, go to a psychologist if you need help, and medical doctors would still send you to a psychologist. But we know it's changed immensely since those days. So to answer your question about the defining moment, all I can say, it was knowing without knowing. And I don't know, unless you've had that experience of knowing without knowing, it's hard to explain to somebody. So the journey that took me to where I was, is too long for this short interview to explain, but it just arrived at a moment where I just knew this is what I was supposed to be doing. And I never knew anything about chakras and energy healing. It was like a foreign language to me. And I think that there's still a lot of people out there that do find this stuff, it's not mainstream for many people. So they find it a little bit strange when you start talking about energy. And some people will still ask me, well, do you massage, or what do you do? How do you do it? What does it involve? So I'm always pleased for these interviews, because I know I was in that space once where I knew nothing about it. So my defining moment just came from having the experience of having an energy healing session, when I was prompted to investigate further feelings and intuitions that I had, which I didn't fully understand. So I wanted to understand where these feelings and these emotions were coming from, because I knew they weren't my feelings and my emotions. I was picking them up somewhere along the line. So I needed to understand that. And so when I had my first life alignment session, which was then called body alignment back in the day, I just walked out of there and I just thought, wow, this is amazing. How did this woman know from my body something that happened when I was 6 years of age? Because I had a very skeptical mind. And while she was working with me, I was thinking, what are these questions? Like, really, how am I supposed to remember what happened when I'm 6? Come on, do me a favor. This was my head talk,
Yes.
And then she said to me, but hang on a minute, without me even speaking, hang on a minute. She says, I'm going to tell you who's involved in this story. She said, your brother's involved. And still I'm skeptical. And I'm saying to myself, I've got 2 brothers. So, and then before, I'm not speaking, I'm just thinking. And then she says, but I'm going to tell you which brother it is. And all of a sudden, my mind chatter stopped. And she said, it's your eldest brother. And in that moment, that was a defining moment for me, Stephen, because in that moment, I remembered exactly what happened when I was 6 and my brother was 4. He nearly died. He had a head injury, and the family thought we were going to lose him. So what happened in that moment was a primal scream left my body. Now, a 6-year-old doesn't know anything about death, but as children, we take on the energy of our parents, their anguish, their grief. And so unbeknown to me, I was releasing this at a cellular level from my body. And it was completely, amazingly awe-inspiring for me. And I walked out of there just knowing I had to learn that, but I didn't know how. I mean, I was just a hairdresser, and I say just a hairdresser, I have my own business, but I didn't come from an intellectual background or anything like that, and it looked quite complicated for me with what she was doing, and I suppose I still didn't have the kind of confidence in myself that I could learn this. So I just dived in. I just dived
Beautiful.
in, and here I am 17 years later.
Gosh, that is just so incredible to hear from someone who's gone through it. And so my journey was slightly different in that I unfortunately did not have somebody who was working with me to help me to release that trauma. So it took me a little bit longer to figure out what it was and where it was coming from, and then it sort of came sort of, like, I guess, a dreamlike state. But immediately I could see how just knowing, as you say, knowing without knowing, that's what it was, and then being able to release that, automatically things in your whole life just start to make more sense. You're like, oh, so that's why I'm not that interested in X, Y, Z, or that's why I'm, have this block up against certain things, and that all of this sort of starts to make more sense for me, and this is why I'm attracted to this, and then you go further down the rabbit hole. It does kind of just pull you in slowly but surely.
So, I actually have a question for you. So,
oh yes, sure.
Yeah. So I know you're supposed to be interviewing me, but what's interesting here is that why do people battle on their own? Maybe you also weren't aware that you could have this kind of healing to help you speed things up instead of battling all alone. It's like walking into this brick wall all the time, and we repeat the same patterns in our life. We don't know how to change those patterns. We don't even recognize some of our belief systems because they've been so ingrained in us that we don't realize that we're on automatic pilot, and we're just being robotic in the way we respond to life and to the people around us. So knowing what you know now, would you go and seek help so that you don't have to hit the brick wall all the time, but you can break through it quicker and easier without all the pain?
Oh, yes, absolutely. I know for myself it was, and I'm so glad you actually asked that question, because I think this is the other side of the coin. You were talking about being a skeptic. For me, I was the exact opposite. I believed in all of this, but very much from a fear-based perspective of, if you don't quite know what it is, then rather just leave it alone and don't touch it. And so that was why I was very skeptical around trying breath work or meditation or anything like that, because, where is this going to go? So to our listeners, if anybody is catching the replay of this, if you fall on either side of that, to answer your question, Christine, is yes, absolutely. Let's speed that up. If you can, now's the time. And at my interview yesterday with Master Valpay, he was talking about the shift that the world has been going through. And it's so interesting that you mentioned, it was around about 2003 for you. For a lot of people, it was sort of that time period. And if you think about it, before that, not many people were on this path. And now it seems like more and more people are not just open to it, they're actually wanting to learn more and see how they can lead better lives. They're not maybe wanting to be healers, but they definitely want to see how they can ascend and evolve their own consciousness and live their best lives. And he was saying how this time period has definitely been a speeding up of, this, what he calls positive destruction, destroying the old modalities so that we can be open to to new ways of doing things and more advanced technologies that have been around for thousands of years, but we've just forgotten about them. And
Yeah.
so,
And the thing,
so that was.
there's so many. Sorry.
No,
Sorry,
I
I
was just saying that's a
interrupted you.
very long way of me saying yes, absolutely, I would.
Yeah. No, but it's hard for people. So you know, the Body and Mind website is, as we know, one of the ways to access all this information. That's why we're doing these recordings, to help the public become more aware of how they can help themselves and to choose the right therapist or practitioner for them, because there are so many of us out there now, actually. So how do you know someone is qualified? How do you know someone is going to be handling your very delicate, sensitive emotions in a
Yes.
way that is going to empower you, to make you a better person, to help you to grow, to support you through, you know, the painful journey of getting through whatever it is you're needing to break through. It's almost like a breakthrough, isn't it? When you come to the other side. What I've noticed with my own personal growth is that life doesn't stop throwing me curved balls. No one gets away from that. Let me tell you, even as a healer, you've still got to deal with life. It's just that you deal with it easier. It seems to be smoother.
Yes.
But you're still going to feel the pain. But you know it's a journey that you've got to work through it. Do you agree?
Absolutely, for sure. And that is, you couldn't have said it better actually than I could have myself. And it's something that I've been discussing with a few of my clients over the last couple of weeks, because 2020 has been so heavy for so many different people in so many different ways. You know, it hasn't hit one person the same as it's hit the next. And all I just keep saying is, you have to look for the blessing in the tribulation, because there is a blessing. There is something there that you can learn from, that you can use to strengthen yourself so that you can be a better person. You know, let's not just throw our hands up in the air, but by the same token, if you have extra strength right now, lend a helping hand to those around you, because so many people are really struggling. And like you said, that is why we created the Wellness Lifestyle Conference, because not just so that people could find the right fit or the right qualified, you know, instructor or advisor for them, but also just that they could have somewhere to go where it's a space of light that is, you know, light energy, and not this heaviness of, oh God, am I going to make it to the end of next week, let alone the end of the month. So yes, it's been an interesting journey for sure. Sorry, because I've actually gone a little bit off topic, and it did really start to feel like you were asking me questions, and I forget that. No, I'm not being interviewed. You're the one being interviewed.
That's great, because I would actually set the intention in my mind that this would be more of a, for me, I wanted it to be more of a chat, because if anyone wants to find out about me, all they've got to do is go to my website, and obviously we'll get to all of that as well. But what I'd like to share with our listeners, viewers, is that, you know, wherever you're at in your life, just take the first step, start your journey, whatever that may be. And it doesn't matter where you're at. If you are just starting your journey, or if you're halfway through, you've tried this and you've tried that, doesn't matter what you've done. Nothing is ever a waste of time. There was one lady who came to me, we don't mention names, but just to give you a story, because people love stories. She had been trying for 8 months to overcome a structural problem. She sat on my therapy bed like that. So in other words, she was like that. And I thought she was lean and physically that way. But in fact, she wasn't physically lean in that way. She was that way. And she had been having 8 months of treatment with someone else, who then realized they couldn't do any more for her. So they sent her to me. Now, I'm not saying this story or telling you this story to blow my own whistle or blow my trumpet or whatever, because it's a journey that we're all on. And whatever she was doing before was very much part and parcel of where she was at when she came to me.
Sure, yeah.
But what I did is a physical structural alignment with her, but it's done energetically. So she lay on the bed, and I checked her feet were out, her hips were out, everything was out. Okay, we even finish off with the hands, which were out. If I do that, and you put your hands together, when you put them together, your body's out, there's not going to be an alignment here, for example. While I was doing the healing on her, so what I do is body, mind, energy medicine. So I'm trained by a doctor of natural medicine, Stefan, and there's many hours of training that go in. And even after all these years, I am still learning. We have new modules coming up all the time, but we address the body like a computer. So most people want to know what happens when I come in for a session. So I'm not going to tell you the method, because when someone comes in to try it, you've got to experience it yourself. There's no point in me talking about it.
Yes.
But what happened with this lady was I revealed from her body, much the same as what this lady was doing with me before my brother and telling me about going back in time to when I was 6. She had to go back 10 years in her life. So I find the time frame. I find words that lead us to a story. So when I give the client those words, they reflect on the words, they reflect on the time frame, they reflect on an area of their life that this story would have impacted. And they've got to put the words together almost like a jigsaw puzzle. Because life alignment goes like a laser to what it is we're needing to address. And then it has a domino effect for everything else. So in her story was connected to her not owning her power, giving away her power in the relationship. And this threw her completely out of physical alignment. It wasn't anything a chiropractor could fix. It wasn't anything that any other form of manipulation could affect. It was purely energetic. So her central vessel had come out of alignment with her physical body. And what happened during that session was her body started involuntary movements. And I said to her, please don't worry. This is your body's natural way of releasing everything that you've been holding in your body. Because we say, our slogan is, the issue is in the body's tissue. Okay, so that's the cellular memory that's in the body's tissue. So her arms were going this way, her legs were going that way. She was moving and shuddering on the bed for a few minutes. And I moved away and let the process happen. I wasn't even doing anything at that point. I didn't need to. Once her body settled down, I wrapped up what I needed to do. We measured her afterwards. She had completely come back into alignment.
Wow.
But Stefan, the sad story is, because she came into alignment, she stopped coming for sessions. She thought, I'm fixed. That was a big mistake, because you're not just fixed with one session. Your life didn't happen in one session. Your life is a process of things that happen and build up. So 9 months later, she went out of alignment again because she got into another relationship and the same pattern started to repeat. And so she went out again. So she came back again and had another session, and then I haven't seen her since. But you see, this is what people do. They're not always committed to their journey. So my message to anyone out there is stay committed to your journey. And I'm just going to show you that where your journey starts. It can start with a book like this, which is written by one of our prominent teachers in London. This was our first book. They can be ordered online. I refer to these books all the time. They're just absolutely fantastic. So that is me. That's what I do.
Fantastic. Well, that is incredible. And I'm so excited for more people. Please do. Yes, yes.
I know we've been chatting quite a bit, and it's supposed to be a short interview. But I just want to share one thing that I'm really, truly excited about. I'm launching my very first workshop online. So during lockdown, I made the most of it by learning this technology, learning how to use a camera, set it all up and do all of these weird things. And I'm not a youngster, I'm 63 years of age. So I was very pleased with myself, pleased that I managed to do this. And so I'm launching by the end of this week my very first online workshop teaching how to dowse with a pendulum. And it's a great self-help and another great way for people.
Fantastic. Well, okay. How do people get in touch with you for that? How do they, how do they get in touch? How do they reach out about that workshop? What do they do?
Okay, well, if you Google my name, Christine Hardy, I normally come up top on Google as a life alignment practitioner. Otherwise, my website is www.christinehardy.lifealignment, all one word, .co.za. And all my details are there. Everything's there. I'm available on WhatsApp. I can add you to any of my announcements and things like that. So if anyone's interested, they can get hold of me on any medium. Yeah, and my contact numbers and everything are there on the website.
Good stuff. And of course, you are on the Wellness Lifestyle Conference. And as always, the link for that is in my bio. And I will drop a link in the comments or the description of this video, linking you back to Christine's page as well. And it has been an absolute pleasure and an honor to speak with you today. And thank you so much for not just joining us today, but also for the amazing work that you're doing for so many different people. We really appreciate it.
And touche, you too.
Thank you. We hope to speak to you very soon again.
Sorry?
Yes, absolutely. I was just saying, we hope to speak to you too.
Lovely. Thank you and God bless.
Great stuff. Thanks. Bye-bye then.
Bye-bye.